All right, everybody, back at it again here at our next stop in our Steve Vai album review series, and this time we're tackling the 1995 last EP we'll be covering in this series, Alien Love Secrets. Really crazy looking album cover. Steve all painted up in bluish purple. Got it right there, kind of cool looking, weird looking colored font, kind of bright green on there. There's another cool shot of Steve all painted up like he does, when he plays like Tender Surrender live and everything. Which is off this little EP here. And man, I tell you, this is one of the rarest pieces I have in my entire vinyl collection. I'm talking pretty big bucks I had to pay for this thing, but I'm such a huge fan of Steve, if it isn't already apparent, that, I couldn't pass it up whenever I ran across one for, a pretty decent price, considering what it normally goes for online. So, you go to Discogs and you can find some pretty decent deals and, talk to people. And so I was lucky enough to get a pretty solid deal on it, but it was still pretty damn pricey, off Discogs. So, but anyways, yeah, just one of my favorite, EPs probably of all time. I can easily say that. I mean, this just a fantastic EP. And, this follows suit kind of, Sex and Religion, like we covered last time, is kind of like it really was kind of like a side album, or like a different kind of pit stop there, getting a vocalist kind of, going more with the band thing with, trying to go as Vi and, having Devin Townsend on board. Well, this is more true to form on this EP here. Steve goes right back to his, primarily instrumental stuff, and really they're all instrumentals on here. Unless, there's one song that's like, you can kind of count it as one, I don't know, but we'll get there. But yeah, this sounds a lot like, what I mean by, him going back to kind of what he was doing was just like the stuff we've been hearing off, like Passion Warfare. That's kind of going to become like the formula for Steve, going forward here is, because we've had kind of we had the other EP, Flexible Leftovers, kind of the weird, that was kind of a weird one, same with Flexible. And then, we had Passion Warfare, which is like the quintessential album as far as like the standard of kind of what Steve does. Then we go to Sex and Religion, which is kind of something totally different. And now we're back to kind of that, that bass form of Steve, And so that's kind of what this EP is, almost like an extension of Passion Warfare. But anyways, yeah, we kick it right off with Bad Horsey, and man, you talk about a heavy, heavy riff. One of the heaviest riffs and most badass riffs Steve's ever wrote. It's got this cool, just kind of trucks along, real bluesy, uses a slide all over this thing, and it's called Bad Horsey because he's making his guitar freaking neigh like a horse constantly through this. It's crazy how much it sounds like a freaking horse. But it's just such a badass tune, man, and just some crazy, crazy stuff going on here with that slide, and just such a cool song, a big standout for Steve. That was one of his bigger songs. This EP was a massive success for Steve. It has, Bad Horsey is one of his biggest songs, for sure, and for damn good reason. I love that song. Just one of my favorites by him, and out of all his discography. It's just such a unique thing. I love whenever he'll kind of maybe get a whole kind of technique and make a song kind of around it, or, a whole style and kind of make a song around it. And that's what he did here with Bad Horsey, using that slide to its fullest, like I've never heard it done before, making that freaking horse sound, neighing around and, just squealing at super high pitches. Bad Horsey, just amazing song. Then we go on to the second track here, Juice, which is kind of, definitely sounds like something you could rip right off Passion Warfare. Kind of, just real riffy and kind of going nuts here, starts, as you progress further and further in this track, he just starts shredding and playing faster and faster, tearing it up. So much that, at the end of this, you hear Devin Townsend from, the previous album, Sex and Religion, saying, "My God, we get it, you can play," like kind of, joking around with them. So I'm guessing Juice was maybe a left off track or an outtake or something from the Sex and Religion sessions, is what it seems, because, it was clearly Devin talking on there, saying that. But Juice is a really cool song. Sounds a lot kind of like in the vein of Answers off Passion Warfare. stuff like that, or like I Would Love To off Passion Warfare. A lot kind of in that vein with like the way the riff is and everything. Then we get another one of my absolute favorite songs by him here, Die to Live. And man, just such a cool song. How, you kind of start off with just kind of your basic melody and fills going on here, or basic rhythm playing with the fills going on. And once you kind of get to that peak point with that breakdown, then the real lead melody starts kicking in, and it's just like this na na na, and just such a cool sound that Steve's got on his guitar here. And the melody is it's super freaking hooky. And it just goes to show you again, I mean, Steve can write a freaking song. He doesn't, for people who maybe don't really listen to a lot of instrumental music, it's like, man, there's a chorus right here. I can almost, you can almost hear his guitar saying Die to Live in that chorus there. So it's just, man, such a cool song. One of my favorites. It's definitely always been one of my favorites by Steve. That main lead melody and just a really cool breakdown too in it, with kind of a cleaner tone. Then we get to the last track off this side one here. Again, it's an EP, so it's a little bit shorter. The Boy from Seattle. And man, this one's got kind of a funky kind of blues vibe to it. Really, I love Steve's clean tone, and this track is filled with it, man. Just such a cool, real like bendy kind of tone is the best way to describe Steve's clean tone. You hear a lot about. I kind of talked about that on the Flexible album, where sometimes you'd hear like it almost sounds like his strings are bendy or something, kind of like his guitar was on the Flexible album cover. And that's really what Steve's clean tone is. And what's weird is this song almost sounds like, it's kind of like uplifting a little bit, but then like once you kind of get going in there, it's kind of like it gets like during what I would call the verses, they get like, it's almost like it goes down a scale or something and makes it almost sound a little sad and a little bit, and then picks back up. Then you get this really cool breakdown, and then it picks, and then everything kind of stops, and you go right back to that light little strumming of that main hook. So absolutely love The Boy from Seattle. One of my favorite, like more clean sounding Steve Vai songs out of his discography. And that's just 4 songs in a row that are completely kick-ass tracks from this EP here. And then we hop on over to side 2, and this is where it's like, do you want to call it an instrumental or not? Because it's Yayo Gak, and I'm pretty sure that's Steve's son on here, with like the baby voice thing kind of going on here, making like, sounds like he's like babbling like a baby, which is pretty funny. And then Steve will like imitate what he was doing with his guitar, like, and it's just a really cool song. That's again kind of showing the quirkiness and kind of a little bit of the humor from Steve that I love seeing on his albums. It always is kind of like, especially if it's just like, not so overdone, like we maybe saw on the Flexible Leftovers, that second side of that EP, of that little EP. Opening up this side 2 over here with Yayo Gak being kind of a funnier song. It's also just a really cool jam too. So it's got a solid balance here with that one. So that's a really cool song too, and a really unique one. Then we get these kind of flow right in together. In fact, it's called there's 2A and 2B instead of because instead of there being 4 tracks like on side 1. So the 2A here is Kill the Guy with the Ball, which it's got this really weird, almost robotic sounding voice. Kind of open it up here, and just kind of more shredding type stuff, kind of like the song Juice. And later on, you get into like kind of near the end of Kill the Guy with the Ball. It sounds like something like, I don't know how he does it, but it sounds like the guitar, like a bouncing effect going on, and that's just Steve going crazy again. Doing the unimaginable with those huge freaking alien fingers he's got there. But yeah, and then this one fades right into track 2B, the God Eaters, which, man, it's a cool, like, I almost forgot how much I really liked those 2 songs, or really, I would say I never really appreciated them as much until, like, upon this re-listen, really, like, because the way it kind of fades into there, that kind of bouncing effect fades right into the God Eaters, is like out of nowhere, like, it's really cool, but yet it still works, and it's like this really ethereal sound going on with when you enter in with the God Eaters, and it's like just such a cool little 2-part to kind of include on here that just jumps out of nowhere into that second part of that song. But really, really cool song off here. Then we end it with, man, this is probably the biggest one off here, and such an incredible masterpiece of a track. We're talking about the epic Tender Surrender. Man, what a bluesy, and just I love the Hammond organ going on in the background. There's really cool, famous videos of Steve playing this one, all painted up silver, and and it's just, man, this song is just out of this world. One of the best Steve Vai songs out there. Starts off all kind of bluesy, but with that Hammond organ kind of setting the tone, and just doing a little bit of that with that clean tone, that signature Steve Vai clean tone. And then as you build up, the tension starts building and building after each verse. You get a little bit more fills in with the electric and everything, and then you get this cool kind of little riffy breakdown, and then you get this just incredible band that almost sounds like a struggle, and then bam, it goes on, and then, man, once we get to the part where he's just going absolutely nuts, just tapping all over the freaking neck of this guitar, and just shredding like nobody's business, going all around and doing these really cool pinch harmonics that just squeal out the speakers, man. Just such a cool song. And then finally, after all this, it just the big, giant, like, epic piece that it climaxes with back to that basic, bluesy kind of melody there to make one of the best freaking Steve Vai songs of all time. And, I mean, if you haven't heard that song and, maybe... you at least gotta, if you're not gonna listen to the whole EP here, which I highly suggest you should because it's freaking great, at least listen to Tender Surrender, because that's like essential Steve Vai listening, and that'll change your whole freaking world. Listen to that, like, as far as like appreciating guitar and music and everything. Just one of the most, just flawless freaking performances out there. And he plays it like to the note live, which is just freaking crazy. And in fact, that was the one song I was hoping, that I was kind of disappointed whenever I saw him live, and he played some awesome stuff. I think he played a couple off Modern Primitive even, which was his most recent album at the time when I saw him. And obviously a lot of stuff off Passion Warfare, but man, he did not play Tender Surrender or Bad Horsey or anything off here, which is crazy because they're normally a part of his set list. But I did see him with Generation Act, so there was other people there, other acts doing their own thing, like Zakk Wylde, Betancourt, Toz Nabazi, and all that cool, and Yngwie Malmsteen, of course. So it was definitely, but I do just wish he would have maybe played Tender Surrender. That would have been quite the moment. But I did get to see him play For the Love of God and, The Animal and all that cool stuff. So, but yeah, that's just one of my favorite Steve Vai songs of all time. Like, if it's not my favorite Steve Vai song of all time, because it's, man, it's hard to pick a favorite song from any band, but damn, that's just like top tier. Like, if those little tier list things you see, S tier, that song's climbing right up there because it's just that much of a masterpiece of a track, an emotional ride. Oh man, cannot talk enough about that song, and I cannot talk enough about this EP. But it looks like we have talked about the EP in its entirety. And just, again, such a great EP. This will be the last little EP pit stop here. So this is going to be a little bit of a shorter listen. But, shorter listen, it's short but sweet. That's what I love about EPs that, are to the point. When doing an EP correctly, it's like there's no filler. You just pop on all these great stuff in a row. But there is pacing to it. And, from beginning, Bad Horsey, to end, Tender Surrender, Steve freaking Vai does it. And next time, guys, we will be looking on to his next full-length studio album. We're talking about Fire Garden, which has got all kinds of cool stuff going on with it. Really cool album cover and everything. So stay tuned for that. Kind of falls back in with how this album, Alien Love Secrets and Passion Warfare. So Steve Vai's kind of going back to, how he does things, just primarily instrumental stuff. But there are some Steve Vai, we'll get to see him kind of, adventure into some more vocal work that he's going to be doing on this album. So stay tuned for that. Really excited to be looking into Fire Garden. It's been a while since I've listened to it. So just check that out next time. And let me know what you guys think of this EP. And maybe even, list some of your favorite EPs of all time. Because they're just, I think EPs are a really interesting topic to discuss, with all the ones that have been there. And how different bands utilize them from being you know, in between albums, or like debuting with EPs to show people what they got, you know, or putting like cover songs on. There's all different kinds of things you can do with EPs, but this is like a prime example of how to do one. But anyways, guys, yeah, like, subscribe, let me know what you think of this thing down there in the comments, and we'll stay tuned for next time when we talk about Fire Garden. Thanks.